at the end. So next, people. So partners in IT are a long-standing partner of ServiceNow. They've been working alongside us for more than 4 years. Partners in IT are not only a partner, but they're also a customer of ServiceNow, and they are a preferred deployment partner as well. They have a lot of experience deploying ServiceNow in blue-chip customers such as John Lewis, but also companies such as Boots, TNT, and a whole bunch of other customers as well. Interestingly, partners in IT actually use the ServiceNow platform not only to support their customer base, but they manage their projects and sales organizations on the platform, and they run the ServiceNow platform also in a managed service provider environment. They're a business that's been focused on implementing ServiceNow and some complementary technologies, and also, interestingly for us, they have been looking at solving real business problems for ServiceNow customers and partner and IT customers, possibly outside what we are typically known as in terms of our service management solution. We also have on the call Justin Loftus, who is a senior consultant for partners in IT, and Justin worked with Mike to actually develop the BCP application. So he's an experienced ServiceNow implementation consultant, and he's also got a lot of experience. So Justin will be available at the end as well should you have any questions regarding the implementation or the details of the application. Okay, before we go into the Waitrose presentation, for those of you on the call that are not ServiceNow customers, I just wanted to give you a little bit of background about ServiceNow and a couple of slides just to explain some pertinent information. So ServiceNow are a listed company floated on the New York Stock Exchange. We're a global organization with north of 2,000 employees. But more importantly, I suspect, and more interestingly for those of you on the call, we have in excess of 2,000 enterprise customers globally. And those customers are using the ServiceNow platform, which has actually been designed to manage what we refer to as service relationships, and that terminology will be explained and become more apparent as we go through the webinar. I'm sure it's no surprise to anybody that's on the call that ServiceNow is offered as software as a service. We are sort of the leading enterprise IT cloud company. All of our solutions are hosted within our data centers with high availability and global access. We have major sites in Silicon Valley, San Diego, Seattle, Amsterdam, and London, but multiple sites around the globe also to support our global customers. Now, ServiceNow are perhaps most well known within the world of IT service automation or IT service management, and we provide out of the box a rich set of applications that allow IT departments to manage their entire set of requirements and needs. So we have things like the classic incident, problem, change, configuration management, so the keeping the lights on type applications. But we also have infrastructure and operation applications such as config management, service catalog, resource management, and a whole bunch of others that you can see there. And sitting above that is a set of management applications which allow organizations to manage IT costs, IT governance, risk and compliance, but other such things as project and portfolio management, vendor performance, etc. But the key thing to take out of this, and what will be explained as part of the WebEx, is that at the heart of ServiceNow is the ServiceNow automation platform, which can be used, as we're about to see, to build out applications to manage other business requirements and solve business problems. And a good way of thinking about this is the fact that the ServiceNow platform is effectively a single architecture which leads to what we refer to as a single system of record. So people that use the platform have access to the services, process, people, locations, assets, etc. that exist in the organization. And a single architecture means that when our partners, such as partners in IT, build out applications to solve business problems for our customers, then the agility in which they can do that is quite marked, a quite marked difference from other people that are in that space. And then finally for me, some popular use cases are where organizations consolidate multiple IT applications onto the ServiceNow platform, either by taking advantage of our out-of-the-box applications or by partners or themselves building out custom applications. We can consolidate beyond IT, so we have customers using ServiceNow for HR case management, for example, and that's another application that partners in IT have successfully deployed within our customer base. Service Catalog is another example, but the area of interest today really is the ability to build out custom applications on the platform which will solve business issues that the customers face that might not be readily solved with the legacy technologies that they have in their organization. So with that, I'm going to hand over to Mike, who's going to give you a brief bit of background about the project at Waitrose, and then I think for the interesting piece, he's going to go through a demonstration of the BCP application. And as I mentioned at the end, we're very happy to take questions. We've got the right people on the call to be able to answer your questions. So from that, I will hand over. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Robert. Mike Westy here from Waitrose. Can you hear me okay, Robert?
Yes, I can, Mike, yes.
Thanks very much. So, good afternoon, everybody. I'm Mike Westy. I'm the Business Continuity Manager for the Waitrose division. I also have responsibility for risk and compliance for the organisation. I would like to stress straight away that at heart I'm a retailer. I spent 35 years in the organisation in terms of working in retail. I've been with a partnership, the John Lewis Partnership, which are the parent company for Waitrose for some 12 years now. And I haven't spent a great deal of that time purely in IT. I've also worked in different areas of the business. So I think the thing to stress, and I'd like to get across, is we've been able to work with partners in IT to identify what's required from a business perspective, not an IT perspective. And before we go into any more detail on that, a little bit of background on the Waitrose. It's a food retailer. As I said, it comes under the John Lewis Partnership banner. And unique to our organisation for us is the fact that we all are co-owners of that organisation. We're all partners. Waitrose actually currently has some 57,000 employees, and the John Lewis Partnership overall has some 90,000 employees. So it's a big organisation with a group turnover this year of approximately £10 billion. A little bit of background on Waitrose and where it's come from. Nice little picture there. We started back in 1904, and I think you can probably work out and guess where we got the name from. And you can see that we became part of the John Lewis Partnership in 1937. And today we now have 302 branches. We have the expectation to grow that by another 20 to 25 branches this year. So we are continuing to expand and move forward within this country. But we also have opportunities that we explore overseas. Places as far afield as the Channel Islands. And it's also, we've got some franchises that we operate in Dubai and Bahrain. We also have quite an extensive export area that we run. So we export to over 45 countries. Some examples of those are like Hong Kong, to the Falklands, and obviously out to Asia, etc. And if you're really lucky to travel on Eurostar, you can actually get our products on board there. So that's one of the recent ventures that we've actually done. So giving a little bit of background about Waitrose and where we come from in terms of this relationship, and working with partners IT, I think it's first important to understand what business continuity is about and what it's about in an organisation. Effectively, if you go to any organisation, they will have a mission statement around what their business continuity aims are and objectives are, but it's ensuring that an organisation has good processes and procedures and plans in place that are effectively rehearsed and exercised to ensure that in the event of a serious incident, crisis or disaster, they have ability to recover that business. And we always focus on making sure we protect the partner first and the customer, and then it's property, profit, and brand. And they ask us to do all that at a minimal operational disruption and minimal cost. So no different than any other organisation. In terms of what Waitrose had 12 months ago, and it was only 12 months ago, it was a very paper-based and manual procedure for managing our business continuity processes and plans. And it would involve a 6-monthly review, meeting with each of the directorates across the division. So within Waitrose, we have some 9 directorates, such as retail, supply chain, commercial, finance, etc. And my task within there was using a set template and set processes and procedures to meet with those every 6 months and identify with nominees from each of those directorates what the critical activities are that need to be keep functioning within that directorate in order to keep the business running, to keep the lights on. We not only have to identify what critical activity was, but we also have to identify what systems were required to keep that critical activity going. And we also need to know how many people, in the event of seriousness and crisis disaster, we need just to keep the lights on. Because it's not about being able to provide everything, because the cost of actually providing anything and replacing a complete head office is not possible. You've just got to make sure that you can sustain your business while you're going through that business recovery process. And the key challenge also with any organisation is ensuring that you can actually keep that maintained. I've worked with a lot of other retailers, and one of the challenges they come back to me in the BC environment is actually BC business continuity is not on the top of the agenda when you as an organisation are trying to drive forward, maybe developing in a different field, maybe trying to develop it forward. So keeping your plans maintained once you've actually updated them is a significant challenge. In 2012, we did a review within the organisation to say, what do we need to support business continuity and crisis management going forward? And we found that this split into 2 components. One was around incident management, incident notification. So in the event of a crisis, how can you quickly get hold of the people you need to get hold of and make sure you can communicate to and from those with the relevant information? And also the key bit about maintaining your documents, maintaining your plans and understanding what physical activities were being run from any particular location or building or campus. So we met with 30 in 2013 with ServiceNow and partners in IT and discussed our requirements. And what we identified early on was we could leverage the ServiceNow platform that the partnership was currently using for IT management around their IT incidents. So we were looking to see how we could actually take that platform forward and use in if you like, in the business continuity world. Again, another key point to note, this project that we then took forward was really business-led. We did not have any further involvement with our IT function apart from discussing things like contracts and licenses, etc. I worked purely with Justin from Partners in IT, and what we did was develop the business area requirements. We identified what our needs were. That piece of development was then put forward, and then we basically did a normal user acceptance testing and went through a process of getting it up to where we are today, which I'll quickly demonstrate shortly. We did it over a 3-phase approach, and actually only took us probably about 4 or 5 months to get to the position where we are today. So it was very swift, and it was very easy. Now, I think what we're going to do now, because basically to show you that concept and how we managed to get it work, we're going to switch the application, and I'm going to just step through the application in terms of what's on ServiceNow. So hopefully you'll see that appearing on the screen in a second. And I think the best way to actually demonstrate the simplicity of what we've developed and talk through how we use the existing information and the existing data that Tom Lewis held to create this application. I'm going to actually step through and create, in essence, a business continuity plan. So that's a familiar front page, home page there for ServiceNow that you can see at the moment. And down on the left-hand side, we've got an option over here that shows business continuity model. So I'm just effectively going to step in and select create a new business continuity plan. One of the challenges that we have when we set up the application and ServiceNow in terms of user experience is to ensure that my users that come and use this can actually grasp what needs to be done straight away. With business continuity planning, they often only revisit the information they're inputting maybe once every 3 to 6 months. So it's important that actually what we've developed was something that somebody could pick up and put down with a break of that time scale. And because we already had good existing paper-based plans and good templates we were using, what we did is we took the opportunity of actually mimicking the structure of the document that we were already using. And that way, when the user went on to enter their information for their business continuity plan, as I call it, online, it was very familiar to them in terms of the information they were inputting. And again, we will step through as we go where we pick up using the core data that's already existing within ServiceNow. So, on the screen I just drive through now, we're just going to create really a departmental continuity plan for the finance division of Waitrose. And as you see, as I step down through the top of the screen, by just effectively selecting the various owners, the division, the directorate, it automatically populates, again using existing data that's in ServiceNow, which is there to do our IT incident management. Because our users are also have the ability to go into ServiceNow to log incident calls, all their names and details are also held within that area. So that means that we can actually go in there and select who would be the plan owner because they already exist. And hopefully, I should be in there somewhere, unless it's got rid of me. There I am. Straight away, I can set up the initial part of a plan to identify who the owner, who the manager, who the maintainer is. And that's important because as we go through the audit trail later on, we'll be able to identify who should be looking after this plan and who should be signing off this plan. Coming down the page, we already pre-populate the information that we need to go into any business continuity plan. So where it says under aim to enable, in brackets, insert name of department, continue key activities, this is pre-populated from the script that sits behind the application, and it's something that I can edit. So if I wish to change the aim of our business continuity plans, I can simply do that from a script behind, and then that would, every plan subsequent would be refreshed with the new information. So it actually saves time for a user to actually type any of this in. They just need to put into the area where it says insert name, what their department is, and insert the department's name and location. To work down the page now, what we actually see is a set of tabs which go from action administration to the other end to an audit function that we can see there. And then below, we've actually got the action tab identified at the moment. We can see below that there is a pre-populated template, which is how we set up business continuity plans. And if we were to have any new director or division come on board with a partnership, we will get them to put in this information. So if you're setting up a brand new plan, you could simply insert the information where it is shown in red and click on Save to capture that information. As we go through the next various tabs, you will see the other information that's actually required in the plan, and again, a lot of this is preset. I'm going to go to the escalation tab next, and within that we contain a very simple generic escalation process diagram, which in the event of a particular function requiring a more detailed escalation process, so if we're looking at new technology to do product withdrawals, etc., we would be able to insert their own protocol in there. Carry on to return to business as usual. There's a very short statement in there of what the duty crisis management leader should do in order to return to normal. We go on to supporting documents. I'll expand that tab down there. It tells you within the plan what the other areas, what other plans you should read in conjunction with the plan that you're managing. Maintenance. Then I'll just expand that one there. Tells you where you should go regarding maintenance and who should update it. And then there's a comment box on the end that you can add any comments in there. Going back to the action tab. So, point being there, it is very simple for an organisation or directors very quickly put the key information in that will be contained in the plan. That would normally be saved, and then you go back. Sorry about that. That would normally be saved at the top there, and then you'll be able to go back and edit further information if required. I'll just put a date in there for a second. You've got to have a date within the plan because it does some verification to make sure you're validating when you're next going to review that. So very simply, that's the high level part of a plan. And that's not the key information that we would use once we were required to actually invoke our business continuity plan to understand what key functions we would need to put in place in the event of a denial of access to a building. So I'm going to take you out of the creation of a plan and take you to look into actually our business continuity plans themselves, and then we'll go into a little bit more detail to see what funds have already been created. And actually how powerful the application is in terms of giving us the information we need in order to react in the event of crisis, serious incident or disaster. So I'm going to leave this page. And that takes you through to a list of all the business continuity plans we currently have set up on the application. And you can see we've got some for corporate, we've got some for John Lewis, we've got some for Waitrose. And I'm able to very quickly just sort those by division if I wish. So I can just look at those Waitrose plans, and then I can actually go into an individual plan and have a look to see what the information is contained in there. I'm going to go into the commercial plan, Waitrose commercial, and what you'll see from there is the information that previously we could have populated is all now been populated. And I'll just scroll down a second. And you can just see the key information that we actually have in there is all entered in. One of the areas I didn't cover last time was the administration tab. So when we are going through and creating a business continuity plan on the platform, we have an administration tab. That enables us to, or should I say the user, to actually go in and confirm that they've validated key points within their business continuity plan. So we would ask them when they're completing the various bits of information to also go into this tab and to identify that they've updated their instant reporting procedures, they've updated their wharf actions, they've loaded plans into our notification system, they've updated details on our ICOM system which does notifications as well. And that, by doing so, that would then confirm that they've done those key tasks, and it creates a key performance indicator report that we can then use as a dashboard to see how up to date the information is. But taking it back to the paper-based plans, in order for me to get that information, I would normally have to sit down with an individual and physically work through their plans. What I can do now is look at everything they have online, and it enables me to very quickly identify what is up to date and what isn't up to date. Key part that I spoke of previously is identifying by each function what the key activities are in order to keep that function going. So I'm still going to work here with the commercial directorate. And what we're now looking at on the screen there are the statement of requirements. So these are the key activities that are needed to be kept going in order to keep us trading on the commercial directorate. These statement requirements are associated to the relevant plan, so they're unique to that commercial directorate plan. And what you'll see from the information on the top of the screen, if I just take you along the top statement requirements, number 010059, is that we have the information captured in terms of the critical activity, the number of partners that would normally carry out that activity, how many days in days' time will we need to invoke that activity to a work area recovery facility. So in the example, we have right at the top, and we need 3 partners, but we wouldn't need them there until 5 days' time. So we'd have 3 permanent partners. We would have them at the work continuity recovery site for 5 days, and the number of partners we need to carry out that activity is 2. So the overall full-time equivalent is 3, but actually only need to do that. Benefit of capturing all that information, I just apologies again. You will see that we've actually captured all the critical activities. I think there's about 10 there in total. We've identified how many people we need at each work area recovery facility by each individual activity. We've identified how many people would need a remote that can work remotely, say from home, and whether we need to have anybody from another location. And that actually gives us the information at the bottom of the screen saying that in order to keep the commercial directorate running, although they have 144 partners in total on the full-time equivalent, actually we'd only need to put 18 at a work area recovery facility, and we'd have 126 working remotely. Now that's just one directorate in terms of commercial. So I've collated this information. I can see that it's up to date and see what information they've done in. What I'm going to do is I'm going to step into one of those statement requirements. I'm going to look into the one for commercial directorate. No. Okay. And this is the information that then fulfills the statement requirement. We would capture the information by location, which is really important, so we know who's in what building. We can capture the information by full-time equivalent, and we can capture the information in terms of, is it a key activity, do we need it in 24 hours, 48 hours, or 5 days. Scrolling down from that, we can then identify, in this example that we have here, trying to support the supply chain in negotiating priority deliveries, if we wanted to identify a critical system supported that activity, we can actually identify it through the business service. And we would do that by selecting the information that's available within ServiceNow and adding it to the system there. And that information that we've just added in there is what is held within the ServiceNow platform that currently exists. So that has come from our IT side of the organisation. We do our incident management on. So we know that it's directly related to it's something that is a service and an application that exists within Waitrose or within John Lewis. We haven't just typed in we want local notes. It's actually linked back to the application. We can then identify within this set of requirements the exact recovery point objective and time objective. We would need that application back in order to service that requirement. So in case of Lotus Notes, we can then select who we need to have that application back and ready within 2 hours, and the recovery point objective, we want it back to where it was within 2 hours, and I'd like it available in 2 hours as well. So the recovery point objective is where do we want it back to? So when you report to have lost the last 2 hours of information, and the recovery time objective is put the head in the direction we want that application back. Further down on the list, we have the work area recovery continuity requirement, which is effectively how quickly do we want to have this particular critical activity within buying located at an alternative location. And we can select there as to whether we want it 12 hours, 24 hours, 48 hours, or 5 days. Further down, we can select whether we want it, how many people we need at the work area recovery facility, how many people want to work alternatively in another location, and we could add alternate locations over on the right. And whether we've got people working remotely or not, it will automatically add up those numbers for us. Where we feel that we're now moving step forward since we actually started this original development is that previously within our organisation we haven't necessarily specifically understood the exact business requirements in terms of what applications, what business services a business function needs to keep operating. We would collect that all on paper, we would then give that to our IT teams. But where does it directly reference what the capability of that application is? So we've been doing some work within the IT side of the ServiceNow platform to identify what are the recovery point capabilities and what are the recovery time capabilities of all our applications that are critical to us. And the intention here is that, just using this as an example, is that we are now saying from a business perspective, I need Lotus Notes within 2 hours, and I want it back to where it was 2 hours ago. We can have done some work in terms of looking at our IT capability and IT recovery, and we separately in the other part of the application, it will actually show what the recovery point capability and time capability of that application is. So we will be very shortly be able to bring together a report to say, this is what the business is asking for, this is what actually IT can deliver. Is there a mismatch? And if there is, then we can have a discussion with the business to say, how do we improve this resilience? Or actually, are we providing too much recovery? So actually, we can recover this within 1 hour. I only want to do that. And you can look at the cost benefits of actually moving your recovery times backwards if necessary. That's a very simple statement of requirements for that particular activity. If I go back out that screen, ask them to leave the page. And we go back down the bottom, we can now see a nice big full list of all the activities that take place in the commercial department. So that gives us a view, and that gives me a view of what is in place for commercial with respect to keeping the lights on. I can now, by going into any of the plans, I can actually look to see what is in place, whether it's for supply chain, whether it's for retail, whether it's for finance. I can look at any of those areas and I can get an instant view now of what their requirements are. I can understand what their critical activities are. I can understand what systems they need to support that critical activity. And I can understand how many people we need to put in a work area recovery facility. And just to show you what we've currently got into the system, so I go back to the business continuity plans. So these are the plans that are currently in set up. We actually set all the Waitrose ones back in September, October, and we've got some due to do a refresh in the next month to update all the information we currently hold us. And we're currently in the process of loading all the group plans onto the application. We will then load also the John Lewis plans on the application. And we can sort all this information any way we want. So that's I can look at it whether it's just Waitrose or whether it's just corporate or whether it's John Lewis. The view that we're looking for at the moment is one that is for administrative view. So when it comes to my business continuity users logging in, they would simply see the plan that just relates to them. So if I happen to be Liz Handel, then when she would log into ServiceNow and she would select business continuity plans, that is the view that she would see. And this is one of the key things we want to do, is keep it simple, because we would have people that would not be using the sample case of the for between 3 and 6 months, and it has to be totally intuitive when they get into it. The way that we introduced people to this application was actually during the standard 6-monthly review. I would normally sit down with them on a one-to-one basis, go through the paper plan, and we'd agree what changes would need to be made. They would go away and they would come back and they would talk to me. I invited them on this occasion in September to come and sit with me. What I actually did was sat them in front of the laptop, I sat them in front of the application, and I got them to drive and fill in the information. And once they stepped through the process once, they were then happy and created a single state requirement. They were then happy to go away and create the rest of the information. And I just think that's a testament to how we've been able to work with Justin to come up with something that is basically user-friendly and so important out there in terms of getting people on board, minimising the training costs and getting things intuitive to use. I'm just going to step over to the left-hand side now and click on the statement of requirements. Now, when I do this, it will show the statement of requirements for the whole division. So I'm going to click on that. And because each directorate may have 1, 2, 5, 10 or 20 statement requirements, there's a massive list that goes down through there. I can sort them as before. So if I just wanted to look at the commercial ones, I can look at the commercial ones we can go through now. But the power of this tool here comes in is that if I needed to look at them in the event of something happening within the Blackwell campus, so if I'd lost a particular building, I would be able to go and identify exactly what are the critical activities in that building, what are the critical systems needed to support those people, and how many people we would need to get to a work area recovery facility to do that. So I just select Taylor House, which is one of our buildings on the campus, and we can see from there that we've got various activities going on there in the retail directorate. Facilities are located in that building. Part of personnel are located in that building. Customer sales and support centre are located in that building and deal with all the customer calls coming in. A retail directorate, etc. If I just scroll across the right-hand side, what it's automatically given me is the information that I need in order to invoke my work area recovery facility. It's told me straight away that I need 121 desks available on my work area recovery facility, and I'm also going to have 252 people working located from home. If I wanted to look at that in a little bit more clarity, to understand exactly what I need in the first 12 hours, 24 hours, or 5 days, I can use the facility on any of these columns down here to actually group the information. What that's now showing you, if I just close that up, what that's now showing you is it's sorted out information, so it's in detail. In terms of my WARF requirements in 12 hours, I just need 3 people, and they're going to do online operations, and I can look at the critical activity that goes with it. And in 24 hours, I need to make sure I've got provision for 115 people working in that environment, and then again for 48 hours and 5 days. So the power here really is using the information taken from those plans to enable us to, in the event of something happening, we can actually use this as quite powerful tool to make sure we've got the right processes and procedures set up. Just going back to, we showed you previously on the business continuity plans. I'll go back into that briefly and pick up a plan which is, say, I'm just looking for one here, so marketing. Go back into commercial, we've used that one. And I'm currently on the administration tab, and we covered this earlier, where we put the dates in to say we've completed the task. That information would then translate to a KPI report. And as I'm logged on as a administrator, I'm going on the left-hand side, choose the KPI dashboard, and I can actually select the status of all those areas on there. What I'm going to do is just sort that by division. And then that gives me a status of where we are in terms of doing those key deliverables and I get an instant readout of where we are in terms of operating continuity capability. I would add at this point that we didn't get them to input those dates when we first met in September. This is the part we're going to do in March, so that's why there's quite a few reds in there. We've done some work in some of the other directorates, such as retail, such as finance, and such as the communications area, the managing director, to test what the KPI report were. And we've been able to tailor this report. This actually is a direct copy. It's exactly what we were doing in an Excel spreadsheet previously. And what we were able to develop was the same report in the same format, using the same criteria, using the same weighting, because some of the activities that we show across the top, such as statement of requirements and exercising, carry more weighting than ensuring that you validated maybe your VC plan and icon. And that was, again, a good example of how we've been able to use the application basically to create a business process with a minimal effort and no real additional coding required by customer input to do just create a simple report. And I think we're getting towards the end of that piece of session. Just check my notes. So if we just go back to the plans, I think the one key thing before I hand back or hand to Justin for questions, if anyone's got any questions on the experience we went through there. This is the point of difference that I felt when I've been doing this application, until I spent 12 odd years in IT, was actually the ability for the partners in IT to understand what the user requirements were and to therefore develop something that actually met the user's needs and to keep it as simple as possible, yet using all the capability of the supporting platform. So we've gone on and created it to a position where we've got to today. There are other things that we're looking to do and we'd like to be able to take forward in the future, but we felt that we've come quite a long way in the last 6 months. So I'm going to hand over now to either Justin or Rob if they want to take any questions. Thank you for your time.
Thanks very much for that, Mike. It's Robert Wadsworth from ServiceNow back here. I would like to invite people to ask any questions if they have questions for Mike or for Justin, the Partners in IT ServiceNow implementation consultant who, with Mike, designed and built out the application. So if people do want to ask questions, then there is a chat facility where they can do so, or they can raise their hand and the operator can make them unmute them. So if there are questions, that's fantastic. If not, then thank you all very much for attending. Have a raised hand. So, Kate, would you be able to unmute so we can take questions, please? So there is a question on chat at the moment, Justin. So would you like to answer the chat question?
Yes. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, that's good. So the KPI dashboard is using the platform of ServiceNow. There is some customization to it because of the nature of the content that needs to be displayed and how it could be displayed, but it's kind of kind of advanced standard configuration of ServiceNow. It can be tailored for a number of different kinds of reports.
Hi, and it appears that we're having a bit of an issue unmuting people. For those people that have raised their hands, would you be able to ask questions via the chat function, which you can access at the top of the screen, and then we'll be able to answer questions. Okay, Justin, I see another one's come through now about asking if we need an additional plugin.
Yeah, just give me a moment.
Those people and the rest of the attendees can see Justin answering the questions on chat. So if there are other people with questions, then please do use the chat functionality on the WebEx, and we'll make sure that either Justin or the relevant person will respond on chat so that everybody can see that. Do now as well, so Justin will address those back in the chat.
There might be a question for you there around the single site. There's a screenshot showing activities based on a single site.
Yeah, we can't see a question, Justin.
Oh, right, okay. So one of the questions is, there was a screenshot showing activities based on a single site. Looking at it the other way around, can you show where those people, as indicated in the DTP, would be camped to? So at the moment, the wharf facility is not, the actual name of the wharf facility is not captured in the statement of requirements, but there's no reason why it couldn't be in the future.
Yeah,
that'd be right.
Yeah, I mean, if we go to business continuity plan, and we just pick up the Waitrose finance business continuity plan, going action, and expand on that one. It would normally stay within there where they would have to go relocate to, so whether it is relocating to our Waitrose facility at Oxley or Greenford. But what we can also do, because for the ease of the application, can include maps on there as well. So maps are located on there, a direct that location. So all that, I think the beauty of what we've created here is each of those tabs, whether reaction, administration, or escalation, the information that we choose to put in there is what we want to put in there. So it's just as easy to have a map of how to get to a worker recovery facility. What are the things that you need to do when you arrive on site? What are the security checks you need to do? What you need to bring? That can all be included in there, no problem. So actually, you could have that link to your notification to actually be able to say in the event of something happening, this is what you need to do.
Okay, I'm just responding to one about the linking in with Notify Now that's going to be available in Dublin, and basically something that we want to explore when we get around to future phases. Certainly see how we can completely integrate the platform with a full ServiceNow application, and also the notification capability that's going to be available in Notify Now.
So I think that's where our next piece of work we want to look at is we currently have a standalone separate notification tool which is very effective, but it would be good if we could tie in directly in on the same platform so that you can actually, we could use the fact that we've got nearly all of our partners that we need to contact already in ServiceNow. If we were to add contact details, etc. in there, you could then really turn this into quite a powerful tool in the event of a live incident happening. You could then also do your notification and your incident management through this and control through this, as well as holding the supporting plans of what to do in the event of a denial of access. So, yeah, we're looking forward to taking that opportunity.
Right, just got a question around Active Directory linking to incident call-outs. At the moment, there's no integration there as yet. This particular customer does have an integration with Active Directory or a SAML2 solution as well. So there's possibilities of exploring that. One of the things that we had was just creating a starting point for Mike to basically transition off his kind of paper documents. And I know he's as keen as I am to sort of look at what other capabilities we can either wrap around the platform or to other processes where we can basically just automate it so it's all from a single point, a single platform, and everything can be managed from that particular platform. Doug Franson's asked a question about how do you measure the quality of surrounding DCP processes within the tool, such as BIAs, risk registers, reports and recommendations, and outstanding actions. Do you want to answer that one, Mike?
Within our organisation, we've got a separate tool for our risk register and our risk management side of it. So we don't actually use it for that at the moment. What was the other part of the question, Justin?
And it was just managing processes, risk registers, reports, recommendations, and any outstanding actions.
Yeah, where we've got to today is just effectively having the key plans for what to do in the event of a denial of access to our campus, and to be able to understand, because on our campus we've got a fact that we've got 6 or 7 office buildings, and it just enables us to hold all that information and to be able to sort it and identify very quickly in the event of what we would need to provide. We haven't got to that position yet of what they were looking for.
One thing to note as well, because this is within the ServiceNow platform, ServiceNow have already created an IT governance risk and compliance application that's been in the platform for a while. And because this is an application within ServiceNow that can be tied in, and that is an application that handles exactly some of that information in terms of outstanding actions, reports and recommendations. So if things are out of date or if things haven't been actioned, then they can be managed through the IT GRC application within ServiceNow. Got a question around, can the plans be accessed outside of your own offices? One of the benefits of having a SaaS platform on ServiceNow as a solution is it's in the cloud. So as long as you have the necessary access, so if you're not restricted it, then ServiceNow is available through any web browser, which of course also helps in a business continuity planning scenario or an activation scenario where people will be able to potentially access things that are off-site.
And just to add to that, one of the sort of boxes when we were looking to come up with a solution to manage our business, and that capability of having that level of resilience wasn't relying on necessarily our own infrastructure or sitting on our own servers.
Okay, I believe that covers all the questions that we've had so far.
Okay, so Robert Wadsworth here again. Unless there are any further questions, what I would like to do is firstly thank all of you people that have taken the time out to attend this webinar. I hope you found it useful. I'd also like to thank Mike from Waitrose and, of course, Justin from Partners in IT for setting up and doing the interesting part of the presentation. If people require further information about the DCP application or ServiceNow, then please do feel free to contact Partners in IT. They will be able to talk you through both the business continuity planning and also ServiceNow in general. So I think one of the questions was around licensing. So if you want a detailed understanding of licensing, then Partners in IT will be able to help you. The contact details you can see on the screen now, and the guys there will be able to deal with any questions that you have around the content of the webinar that you've seen today and wider usage of ServiceNow. So at that point, I'd like to thank everybody again, and I hope you enjoyed the webinar. Thanks very much.